They say it takes a certain level of intuition, maybe a little bit of knowledge, and actual experience in the narcissistic workplace environment to effectively counter and curb some of the narcissistic abuse that many of you may experience on a day-to-day basis at work. That you're being targeted. A lot of this targeting goes deeper than just insults and jabs and personal attacks. A lot of this targeting that the narcissist does, the master planners in these workplace environments, is wholly about income. See, when you go to a job and you go to work every day, many of you work 8 hours, sometimes you work more than that. You're going there to earn a living, to take care of your families or to take care of yourselves. And this is the only thing, this is one of the guaranteed things that must be done in this world to survive, because this is a capitalist world. It's about making money, right? Discarding people who can't contribute and stuff like that. And there's a culture of this in the world at large. The narcissistic mindset that permeates business and so forth. So jobs have this bottom line mindset. We're only going to pay you this much money, and if we do bonuses and perks, we'll delegate those duties to hiring managers and certain people. But if those people are narcissists, then you have a problem. And then I've done a video about the hard economy, which is a real serious thing, people, because you guys know, you go to work, you're at work right now probably, and or some of you are working for yourselves or something, and that's still hustle. But I'm talking about the people who work under bosses at companies and stuff, and they have to deal with this harassment, But when people hit your paychecks, it's a lot more severe than just a name calling and insults. It comes down to, your standard of living, right? And they'll target you, and they won't pay you properly. And it comes down into many situations I spoke about in many videos about, them overworking you. Because see, the real insult here is to have you overworked and underpaid, right? Because we control your finances and we control your life, and that's the whole mindset. To work you 60 hours a week and pay you 40, see, or to withhold those bonuses and all of the cronies of the master planner, split up your percentages and and enrich themselves, off of your backs and your salaries. So then you're forced to maybe get another job, a second job or something to bring in some supplemental income or something, to which they'll play another game by working you in such a way that you're not even able to get another job. So here we are, you're working a job. I don't know how many years you guys have been there. You're working this job for years, and every year you're supposed to get a raise or something. But if they're stealing that money from you, at a certain point, your pay grade should go up, right? And you should meet the cost of living, right? Your pay should meet that standard. But due to the thefts that are going on all across workplaces and across the world, people are suffering. You're trying to figure it out at those second jobs or something, and then that boss will find out. That's why I told you guys, you have to keep everything close to your chest, because even them knowing that you have another job, they will try to poison the well, so to speak, and damage you on that job. I've seen it happen. They don't just stop at what they're doing there, because the goal is not really about you at that workplace. The goal is to destroy you as a person. You have the qualities that they want to step on, because you represent something that they're not, and it bothers them so greatly, right? So instead of doing the work on themselves to improve and be better for the world in general, they figure, well, they rationalize that they'll just get rid of you. And so if they don't have to look at you, they don't have to face a mirror and reckon with who they really are. You know, so they play a game, and the game will go on and on and on, like I've said, for decades, until you get to a point where you're ready to explode. You're ready to, do lateral moves, maybe to other departments, right? Maybe look for another job. And in every way you decide to, in any way, any way that you decide to move in these situations, you're going to have to be very cautious. If you're looking for another job, you're going to have to stay under the radar, because you can't tell your flying monkey coworkers that you're planning on leaving or that you're thinking about it, because the narcissistic boss will ramp the game up because they know you're probably going to escape. And this is just like being in a slave camp, folks. A job is literally like being in a slave camp. So, they're the wardens at this place. We decide how much you get paid. If you don't sell your soul to us, we're not going to give you more money. Or if you don't become a flying monkey or one of our minions, we're not going to look out for you. And that type of mindset, that cultural narcissism, right, is on lower levels in the workplace. But this thing goes much higher than the workplace. There's a culture in the world. People who don't want to see the have-nots come up. Even when they're doing hard work, even when they're enriching your lives by building your companies, you're so selfish and, for that dollar that you just don't even want to make sure these people are okay. And they'll poison those wells, folks. I mean, they'll literally, tell your potential employers, another employer, they'll tell them something bad about you, or they may just, like I said, schedule you in certain ways that you can't accommodate your part-time jobs or something. And then that creates a conflict, and then you have to let one go. And they'll say, well, this is your job, right? But they're not paying you. See, they're not even trying to be reasonable about the fact of why you're working a second job. No one wants to go out here in the world and slave for 8 hours or something and then have to go to another job, because where's your life? And it's a reason why I want many of you people to think about this, because I had to get out. Now, yeah, in my day-to-day, I have to hustle sometimes, keep business going and stuff. I have to take care of things on my own. And I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, I have my peace of mind. I don't have to worry about someone holding something over my head or playing a game with me. I've had those games played, folks. So I really, really have a deep understanding of how this thing works and how it affects you. But any way you turn, whether you try to make a lateral move, they'll poison the well by going to other superiors within that company and keeping you from going anywhere. Now, you have to think about why it's unreasonable, because if you don't have a file and you've been doing your job for several decades and you haven't been getting paid properly, but you've been doing your job, they don't have anything bad or negative to say about you on these reports. Okay, so if you want to make a lateral move to some other department, you're qualified or something, you meet those qualifications or whatever, then you should be able to effectively just transition if there's an open position. If that department hiring manager is willing to put you on, then you should be able to go roll on over into the next situation. But it doesn't work. It's kind of complicated, folks, because the politics, that boss could be a narcissist, and they like to team up sometimes for food, and and so maybe that boss is handing over the proverbial whip to this new boss, right? If they're narcissistic. So you have to be very careful about how you play this out. You may want to get a mentor somewhere, maybe in HR somewhere. It's very rare to find good mentors in HR, because they're really about the company bottom line, and it's understandable. That's why they're there, to protect the interests of the company, whatever. But sometimes you find people in these positions who will be willing to show you other opportunities at the company. You may want to take advantage of those, right? But you have to be very careful and watch their professionalism, watch how they deal with you, watch what they say and certain things, because you don't want that type. And I've had situations happen like that, where you're doing certain things, maybe with your benefits as far as children or something, or anything, with these departments, and they'll pass that information on back to some superior who does need to know that. Or you'll get your pay raise letter, and they're all sealed. They're supposed to be sealed, but you'll notice that someone unsealed the letter and then put a piece of flimsy tape to retape the letter back together, and they put it, sent it in your inbox. I mean your your mailbox or something. So, and you get that, and you know that the boss has looked at it and stuff. You know, if certain things are confidential coming down from corporate, there's no reason for a mid-level manager to look at your pay. They're not deciding that money for you, right? And so, if there's some type of discrepancy, you're a grown-up, you know how much you're supposed to get paid or what your raise was supposed to be for. You can call over to the appropriate department and settle that yourselves. But these people want to control everything about your lives. And that's why they need to know how much you make so they can regulate how much you're going to earn in the future, right? You know, if they see you with a new car, they may get upset about that. I've seen situations on these jobs where, a new employee will buy a nice car, and I'll notice that everyone else, at this job will change their cars out, right? They'll buy new cars immediately following this person. I'm talking about a week after this person buys a car, everyone in the department gets a new car. Whether they could afford it or not, whether it was the best time in life, maybe they got kids in school or something, but they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. And because they're trying to do that, and that shows their character too, folks. Right? The shallow nature of people that I always talk about that really annoys me is that, you're looking at grown-ups who are literally on a mental level of children. Because only children try to compete in those ways, right? Childish people, right? You know who you are. You don't have to be validated by assholes and people who are not worthy. So, we find ourselves mentally weak, and because we need acceptance, and a lot of that goes back to childhood. You were just that fat dumpy kid, or you were just that skinny puny kid, or you were just that girl who was too shy and got picked on, or you were just that guy who just had too many you were into science or something, they thought you were geeky or something. Whatever way these things play out, where they had a profound effect on your mind as far as in a social situation. And so you go out into these jobs and, either you encounter narcissists and you're an empath and you don't know how to handle, maybe you're used to being a yes man and just being agreeable to keep conflict down. Or you could be a hybrid empath and you have claws and fangs as well, and you're lashing and you're taking out sharks every day. You're eating sharks every day, right? Eventually those sharks are going to outnumber you and you're going to have a problem. So that's why I always talk about the exit plan. You can fight your battles for a while, but eventually someone is going to get the upper hand, especially if there's consistent amounts of people stepping up to disservice you or be flying monkeys or volunteer or whatever you want to call it. That's what's going on, folks. The narcissistic mind, and the narcissistic mind is one of those things where they have to control you. That need to control you is so powerful that they'll be willing to put their jobs on the line because, maybe something unethical will be exposed about them playing with your pay or stealing money or something, which is relative to karma too, because eventually they'll get their due. They'll get what's owed to them. So you don't have to worry about that. Just worry about yourselves. But really though, folks, keep your focus on an exit plan for that point, because you need to find a job that is going to pay you properly, that's going to reward you for your hard work and efforts. They're going to appreciate you and not going to work you into the ground. Because remember, and here's another point I'll make up that, about how narcissists are very narrow-minded. I've told you in previous videos how, they're like hunters or something. They're like animals who hunt. They're like predatory animals. And when they go for a target, they just see in a straight line. They just see that target. They don't see any of the surrounding factors, around this target, right? So, they'll steal money or do whatever they want to do. And then there's always some type of karmic repercussion that comes from that. They get their due eventually. You can't keep doing dirt and piling it up and not think that eventually, it's going to start, something's going to start being revealed or something. So, it's just one of those things, people, that, you have to really, really be careful in these situations, because your livelihood is everything. And we're having a casual talk right now, but this is a very serious issue because there are some of you right now who are about to get off and you're going to another job and you'll be at that job all day and then you'll get off and you'll have just enough time to get some sleep or something and then you'll have to, get back on that horse and ride it out. And this is the average person being affected by the narcissistic games. But in these environments, the narcissists, because of their narrow-mindedness, will put themselves in a situation where they paint themselves into a corner, so to speak. And I'll show you how this is done. Because of triangulation techniques and certain things that they do at these jobs, they'll put you in a position where you're forced out. You couldn't take it anymore, so you left or something. And they laughed about it because they're narcissists. They don't care about you. They don't care. If anything, that's funny, right? But because they see in straight lines, they don't see the repercussions of their actions and how it's going to affect them. And that's where they get painted into that corner because you're gone, right? All of that extra hard work and things that you were doing to meet the bottom line, all of that stuff that was helping them get through the day, those times that you probably came in for a couple of hours on the weekend on your day off, all of those things will still go on your job. And when you're gone, all of the flying monkeys who are lazy and cohorts of this master planner, now one of them have to be sacrificed. You get what I'm saying? Now one of them are going to have to be the target until they hire some new person who's probably is a 50-50 chance is going to stay and take that abuse or not. So nothing's etched in stone with these people. So then eventually the narcissistic boss themselves may have to actually pitch in with the workers to get a job done. And they'll have to do that every day because all of this extra work that was coming up, some of these contracts and stuff, and they have to meet that demand. So that narcissistic boss is going to have to roll their sleeves up and get out there and start working with you. Because if they don't, remember, they can be food for a higher narcissist. So the weasel-faced dogs, let me put it like that. Let me use that terminology. Narcissists who are interchangeable. Narcissists who, in most cases, when they're mid-managers, they have a staff or crew under them, and they are tyrants to these people. But when they're around bigger narcissists, people who are their superiors, they kiss butt, they suck up, they do all types of stuff, and they become flying monkeys. And millions of these master planners who tell them what to do, and they implement these things. You see? So there's a connection of weasel-faced assholes working in the workplace. You have those just on a side note, those really nasty people who are supporting these narcissists, with these games. And you may not get the assistance you need at work. You may go to one of your coworkers and they're very rude and almost downright standoffish about you asking a question that you have to go to them to get solved or something. And that's part of that game. See, it doesn't make any sense, but you'll go through this every single day until you get to a point where you're like, I cannot do this anymore. And you're not being paid properly, which is the main reason why you're there. That's what I'm talking about, folks. Just imagine not being paid properly, and that's really bothering you. And then you realize you're being overworked because you're there every day. You've been there since the week prior. You have one day off and you have to cram everything in your life into that one day. You have to go to your son's basketball game, or you have to fucking go to your daughter's cheerleading recital. You may have to get some bills paid or something. Go pay your taxes at DMV. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying to do, folks. I mean, I'm sorry, your registrations or something. But what I'm saying, folks, is all of these things affect you in ways that are not good. Most of us are in the 99th percentile, whether we have businesses or not, whether we're doing pretty good or not. When we compare ourselves to these really, really rich, super wealthy, elite people, right, on the top, we're not making anything compared to what they're doing and the numbers that they're pulling in, right? So people have to make a living to keep the lights on. And if the narcissist knows that you have children or there's some reason why you need to stay at their job, you're better food and you're better narcissistic supply for these people. Because it's just like a drug, just like heroin or something. But these people, their drug is the abuse that they render on the victims in these environments. And they really need that NS. They need it so bad. That narcissistic supply. They need it so bad, that, the job is the ideal environment to get that fixed. Because you have to come to work. You're going to be there regardless. You're going to put up with all of these things to keep that job for the benefits or the paycheck or something. You'll watch your co-workers who don't work as hard as you make more money, or they'll throw them little perks or bonuses and stuff, and you're not getting any of this stuff. So that's what's going to push you out the door, right? So always realize, in the end, you did something for yourself. You liberated yourself. Your mind is free, and you can move in more positive directions. Your life is going to get better, and that is the revenge that you want to seek. Your revenge is only merely making yourself better. It's the revenge that you want to take on these people. You don't want to even look in your rearview mirror at them. You're gone. And that is the reason why, because of that supply that you offered them, that is the reason why they may seek you out in some other, scenario after you leave, after you're long gone from this workplace. They may seek you out in some other capacity. Maybe they'll try to befriend your new supervisor or something. They'll try to poison, your character or something about how people perceive you. They just do these things because they can't take, there's the sore losers. They can't take that you left the plantation without having, to get their nod of approval. Because you're an adult. You don't need to consult with your bosses about why you want to look for another job because they're not paying you properly. Only a crazy person will try to reason or argue with you about why you want to improve your own life. Unless they think they own your life. Or unless they think they own you as a person. And then that's where you get into that area of thinking where, there's this dominance, control, assertion, people violating your personal space and all of these things. That's where you get into all that stuff. The abusive behavior is what I'm talking about. So the knowledge is literally knowing who you are, knowing what you're willing to accept, and not taking bullshit under any circumstances. If that means working that second job, or if that means, trying to find a better job within your departments, you just need to do something. But if you just sit stagnant and let yourself be abused continuously, nothing's going to be better. Nothing's going to get better for you in life. Okay? So work on your exit plans. Keep your cards close to your chest for the purposes of, that lateral move thing, when you don't want to, sound off any bells or alarms or something to your bosses about you trying to move or inquire about other positions, because they'll try to mess you up. And that's sad. Oh, man. I love bad behavior, folks. I don't really love it, but you know what I mean. But it's sarcasm, right? The irony. I don't love bad behavior. I don't love the idea of someone working hard. And that's all they're doing it for. They're working hard because there's some little kid who needs a pair of shoes, or there's some, or some class dues or something, or some parent doing something for their child and caring enough and loving their child enough to work hard and put up with these circumstances just to make a paycheck, just to get benefits, medical insurance or something. And it's tragic that these fools, these narcissistic assholes, use this type of leverage, to exert themselves over you. But I'm not going to talk too much about this. You guys go over to my website, thinkbehavior.info. Pick up my book, I Love Bad Behavior. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I love the comments. Thank you. And you guys have a great day. And, I'm really feeling for the people who have all of these different jobs. And not because they want to do it, but because they have to. And they're so driven to take care of themselves and their families that they're doing everything they must. And they have to contend with the bad elements in a work environment. So, I don't know what to say about that. Have a good one.